So yeah, one thing that we want to really help our clients, and really this goes to our children a lot of times of our clients, and empowering them and getting them on the right track for their college savings. And there's a few things that we can help with that. Obviously the planning, to help with budgeting, to help with putting money away in a couple different areas.
Yeah, there's UTMA accounts. Actually, they're not as popular now because the 529s, you can do a 5-year upfront payment of, if you're single, was it 75,000, and then 150,000 for a couple for college.
Yeah, so it's like the 5-year, like you said, balloon payment almost, the
yes.
Advanced funding of that.
Right, and so you can do that to get things off the ground, and you can do it per kid. So it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter who contributes, but once you hit that mark, anything over that will be gift taxed to whoever contributed it, the parents usually. And then let's say you have your kid decides they want to go to a trade school, or they don't want to go to college. They have a sibling or a cousin, they can take that money, easily just transfer it to the sibling or the cousin, as long as it's in the family, in the first line of the family, without any consequences.
Right, yeah, it's definitely one of the advantages of this type of account is the portability between generations. It can even go to original beneficiaries' children down the line. Things that we can help with the planning and the financial health of our clients, and certainly even their Gen Z children, is to help with college planning. There's a couple different avenues that we can go down, a couple different types of accounts that we can help them out with.
And what's great is, if you're a grandparent, or even your nieces and nephews, if you want to, say, give a gift for Christmas or their birthdays, a perfect gift is money for their college plan or their college savings. Their 529, and then the 529 is
so it's the tax deferred aspect of it, right? So if they put the money in and the investments grow and they use it for a qualified expense, there's no taxes on that.
And with Gen Z and the future, the way I think about it is college may not even really be such a large thing, or
maybe not as popular as it has been.
But trade schools, for sure, can use the 5-2 money for a trade school. Right?
Yep. Yep, you can definitely do that. Yeah, trade schools, graduate schools, if they get scholarships. We actually had a client whose grandson went into one of the military academies. So he can actually transfer it. If he has kids, he can transfer it to him or to her.
And what's nice about putting money away for college, whether for your kids or someone in your family, it just gives you peace of mind, and the student a peace of mind. So they're not leaving college with tons of debt and not understanding what to do with it. It's a really great, wonderful thing to do. Even if it's not fully funded, and no matter how much you put in, it will grow tax deferred, and you can use it for your expenses at school, whether it is college or a vocational school or a trade school. Right,
and the student loan thing, that's really been in the news a lot lately. I was lucky I came out with loans, but I was in the business world, which starting out salaries were a little bit higher than some of my peers. But if somebody comes out with lots of 5-6 figures in debt, and they have a lower paying job, maybe it's still, they're passionate about it and it's the job they really want. It's easier to plan, to do the educational planning for the future than it is to do the debt planning after the fact.
A lot of these kids end up having to move back home
with
their families, starting careers or starting jobs. The pay is not, you have to start somewhere, and you make money. But if you're living in a big metropolitan city, that's what I did. Graduated college, and I wanted to live in the big city. I wanted to not go home, and I was lucky and fortunate enough that my college was paid for. But I've seen my friends that have tons of especially if you go to graduate school. And you can use 529s for graduate school as well, to pay those costs down. It's one of those, like, I'll wait till later and then I'll worry about it or think about it or deal with it, and you put it off, and then it hits you, and it's like, well, great, I don't make enough money to really pay this down, and now I've got to fend for myself and be on my own.
Putting it off is not usually a good strategy in any part of life, and certainly when you're talking about your own financial wealth, it's like I said, definitely easier to plan for the future ahead of time than it is to really try to pick up your mistakes as you get older.
And every little bit counts and matters and grows, and it compounds it on itself. 529 accounts, they are college specifically for education. They target it by the date you're going to school.
Right. The investments themselves in the actual
So it gets more
accounts.
Conservative as you...
Yeah, you want to protect that nest egg as the student gets closer to the...
And you can use it on books and tuition and room and board and
other supplies that they might need. So it's really
equipment and
really
all
can
that
do a lot of things with it. It's
right.
a pretty good tool.
Yeah, it's great. But any college planning, the thing is that you don't want to take care of it afterwards and deal with it when it's over, because that can weigh down your stress levels and make you super frustrated, especially if you're starting out in a corporate job, again, in a big city, and barely able to pay your rent. And the stress of it can actually turn up as illness in your body, or fights with your family or your significant other, and then just feeling like you have zero control over your own environment and yourself. Essentially, it's very difficult. I know just from my own experience with credit card debt that it's just very disempowering. Even if you aren't saving yourself for college, tell your parents or your grandparents, your uncle who always buys you like the thing you don't want, put that $50 into the 529 plan, or just give your advisor a check, or your parents or whoever puts the money into the account. And that's a great way, because it compounds on itself and grows. And then you don't have to regift the ugly candle you got, or whatever you got that you hate. If you don't go to college, you go to a trade school, you can use it there. If you decide not to go to college and want to wait and not do it at all, if you have a sibling or a cousin, it can go, or nephew, you can go down that way. It can pass along, and it is tax-free, and it grows tax deferred.
Yeah, as long as it's used for those qualified expenses.
As a parent, what better gift than to give your child peace of mind when they graduate school and can get started in the job world, whatever they may do, ready to go without this sitting on your shoulders, because it is extremely stressful.
And student loan debt has really been in the news a lot as it gets higher and higher for the nation as a whole, and the cost of college has gone up certainly faster than a lot of inflation measures. It's one of those things that people you don't necessarily need, but you really want to have to get ahead in life, and so you feel like you need to have some sort of experience in that. And really the college planning that we can help our clients with and our clients' children with is again getting ahead of that and doing something proactive ahead of time, and not having to do the debt counseling later if we can do a little bit more pre-college.
Right, and even if you graduate college and it's been a couple years and you're working, and whether you have maybe extra from the 529 or you want to save more, you can use the 529s for graduate school or pursue a post-secondary education. Because when you graduate college, half the time it was just like, well, okay, well, now what am I going to do? So you experience the world, and then you're like, okay, well, great, I'm going to go study this in much more depth. Well, you can always rely on if you still have the 529 or to contribute to it, you still can pull from that and use that in your graduate education.
Right, and there's a lot of people definitely that don't find their passion and don't find really what they're looking for until many years later on. If they still have that something that they can use for themselves to make that even better, works out pretty well for them.
Yeah, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And again, it's all about the peace of mind and lowering as much as you possibly can the stress after you've graduated. So you can go out into the world and then really own, whatever it is that you may do, and feel confident and not be bogged down and stressed down, which affects everything, your vitality, your energy, all of that. It's, it just plays a huge part of that.
Absolutely.